What if the land you're sitting on could basically water itself? Stick around because today we're talking about rainwater harvesting, and it's one of the most practical skills any rural landowner can pick up. Hey, welcome back to the Land Buyer's Guide. I'm Scott Thomas, owner of landparker.com, where we help everyday people get onto rural land with affordable owner financing, sometimes as low as $100 down and $100 a month. Today we're getting into something that comes up a lot with new land buyers, and that's water. Specifically, how to collect rainwater on your property and actually put it to use. So let's just get into it. Rainwater harvesting, at its core, is exactly what it sounds like. Rain falls, you catch it, you store it, and you use it. Instead of watching that water run off your roof and soak into the ground or drain away, you're redirecting it into a tank or barrel where it can do something useful for you. Irrigation, livestock, household use, even drinking water if you filter it right. It's a simple idea, but when you execute it well, it genuinely changes how independent you can be on a piece of rural property. Now, before you go buying tanks and digging trenches, you need to do one thing first. Check your local laws. I know that sounds boring, but it matters. Rainwater collection regulations are different depending on where you are. Most U.S. states are totally fine with it. Some even encourage it. A handful of states used to have restrictions, but honestly, most of those rules have been relaxed over the years. The thing is, if you're buying rural land, chances are you're already in an area where nobody's going to give you grief about collecting a little rain off your roof. Still, just take 10 minutes and check with your county or state water authority before you invest in anything. That's all it takes. All right, so let's talk about how these systems actually work, because it's simpler than most people expect. Every rainwater system has a few basic pieces. First, you need a collection surface. For most people, that's your roof. Metal roofs are really the gold standard here. They're clean, they're durable, and they don't leach chemicals into your water. If you've got asphalt shingles, you can still collect, but just know that if you're planning on drinking that water eventually, you'll want to think harder about your filtration setup. From the roof, water moves into your gutters and downspouts. Keep those clean. Clogged gutters kill your water flow and drop your quality fast. Gutter guards are worth it if you're in an area with a lot of leaves and debris. Here's something a lot of people don't realize though, and this is one of the most important parts of the whole system. You need something called a first flush diverter. What this does is automatically throw out the first surge of water that comes off your roof at the start of a rain event. That first flush carries all the dust, bird droppings, pollen, whatever's been sitting on your roof. You don't want that in your tank. A first flush diverter handles it automatically without you having to do anything. It's a small piece of the puzzle, but it makes a big difference in water quality. Then you've got your storage tank. This is really the heart of the whole setup. Your options range from small rain barrels, we're talking 50 to 100 gallons, all the way up to massive polyethylene tanks or underground cisterns that can hold thousands of gallons. If you're just trying to water a garden, a couple of rain barrels connected to a downspout will absolutely get the job done. But if you're thinking off-grid living or running a homestead, you're going to want to go bigger. A lot of folks starting out on a budget use what are called IBC totes, intermediate bulk containers. They usually hold around 275 to 330 gallons. You can find them used pretty cheap, and you can link multiple ones together to scale up your storage without a huge upfront cost. Underground cisterns are another option worth knowing about. They cost more to install, but they keep your water cool, protect it from freezing in cold climates, and they save a ton of above ground space. If you're thinking long term and you've got the budget for it, they're a solid investment. And honestly, one of the most common questions I hear is, how much water can I actually collect more than you'd think? There's a simple formula. Take your roof area in square feet, multiply it by the rainfall in inches, then multiply that by 0.623. That gives you gallons. So a 4,500 square foot roof with just 1 inch of rain, you're looking at roughly 935 gallons from a single rain event. Even in drier parts of the country, a properly sized tank lets you bank water during the wet season and carry it through the dry months. Now, if you're planning to drink or cook with your rainwater, you need filtration. Full stop. A good setup usually involves a sediment filter to catch particles, an activated carbon filter for taste and chemicals, and then either UV sterilization or reverse osmosis to make it truly safe to drink. For irrigation or watering animals, you can keep it a lot simpler. Basic screening and letting sediment settle is usually enough. Let me throw out a few tips that'll save you headaches down the road. Size your tank for your dry season, not your wet season. The point isn't to store water when it's raining. It's to have enough stored to get through long, dry stretches. Think about what you actually need per day and work backward from there. If you can, position your tanks uphill from where you'll be using the water. Gravity-fed systems mean you don't need pumps or electricity to move water around. That's a big deal when you're trying to stay off-grid. Keep your tanks covered or use opaque tanks. Sunlight grows algae. You don't want that inside your water supply, and you don't want to deal with evaporation either. Screen every inlet and overflow outlet. This is a health thing. Standing water with open openings is a mosquito breeding ground. A simple screen solves it. Plan for overflow. When your tank fills up, that water has to go somewhere. Aim it toward a garden bed, a swale, or a pond. Anywhere but right next to your foundation. And if your system isn't set up for drinking water, label your tanks and lines clearly. Non-potable means non-potable, and you want that to be obvious to everyone on the property. Finally, flush and inspect your tanks once a year. Sediment builds up over time, and it can affect your water quality. An annual clean-out keeps everything running the way it should. Here's the takeaway I want you to walk away with today. Water independence is one of the most valuable things you can build on a rural property, and rainwater harvesting is one of the most accessible ways to get there. You don't have to do it all at once. Start with 2 rain barrels and a first flush diverter. That's a real working system. Then as you get more comfortable and your needs grow, you scale up. Simple as that. The best time to set up a rainwater system is before you need one. If you're buying land right now or you're still in the planning phase, start thinking about this early. It's a whole lot easier to design water collection into your property from the beginning than to try and retrofit it later. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode. If you're thinking about getting out onto some rural land of your own and you're not sure where to start, come check us out at landparker.com. We've got affordable rural properties across the country with owner financing options that make it realistic for just about anyone to get started, sometimes as low as $100 down. Browse what's available, ask questions, and take the first step toward owning land you can actually do something with. That's landparker.com. We'll see you on the next one.